think often perhaps when I hit top pair with my ace or my jack, I could be out kicked, so or not get any value from it anyway. He's gone out and led for a little bit over half the pot, and I haven't really got a decision here. I'm just going to commit myself. I think perhaps shoving looks a little bit drawy, so I think perhaps the best thing is just like a min raise here, and you know you're not going anywhere, you're committing yourself, and it might look a bit more like a queen. I think if he has an overpair, obviously here he's always bet calling a queen as well. Probably jack 10, although he might be looking to check raise that. I'm not really sure. I haven't really got much of a decision here. I've got a very strong post flop hand now, and by raising here I can win the pot two ways. I can make him fold, or if he does call and go all in, then obviously I can make my hand. It's much better than calling here, unless you really think he's got a complete airball and you want to keep all bluffs in. But here I think you can be bet folding worse hands than ace jack, perhaps like 7-6 suited or pocket fives. He might even just be taking a stab at this flop and folding to a re-raise. So raising here is completely fine. He does fold and I take the pot down. Obviously you're not always going to flop as well as that with ace jack suited, but I was deep against a thinking player, so I decided to do that. The next hand is ace 9 of hearts on the button. Blinds haven't changed, and Kenzo there makes it 2.5x. I think flatting is okay here, although I think with 30 big blinds deep against a bit of a spewer, I think 3-bet calling is also fine. Behind us in the blinds, I think if we call, perhaps Nikolai might put the squeeze on. I think M silence hasn't really got any fold equity, so I think 3-bet calling here is fine. I think Kenzo perhaps also might be the type of player just to flat pre-flop and check fold to a lot of flops. So we did 3-bet to 1800. If he's decided to call, but if he did shove, I just still don't think it's terrible. I think he might be shoving a lot of low pairs and maybe even suited connectors, hands that I might even dominate. And I think he may be even the type of player to min re-raise, with his real big premiums, aces, kings, and queens. Obviously, it's not ideal turning ace 9 suited into a bluff there, but so be it. He's called anyway, and the pot's now 4k. He's only got 8.5k behind him. The flop's around king 3 jack rainbow, and it's a really ugly flop. It's just the worst possible flop that I can think of. He's checked me and I bet 2800. I basically just tried to take the pot down here and now. It would be nice if I if I bet a little bit less, I think he can check call a lot of hands. I've tried to make it look there like I've committed myself, and I'm not going to be folding to his re-raise, which I think then narrows out a lot of his bluff hands. Obviously, this board has probably smacked him quite hard in the face with his raise called out of position. Probably hands like king queen and jack queen and king 10 suited perhaps. So I've tried to stab at the pot because he could be playing with undercards to the king and the jack, but he comes over the top and there's nothing more I can do. If I had a hand that I can bet call with, then great. I would have bet probably a little bit less, but I don't, unfortunately. I'm just going to have to get rid of it, took a stab at it, and that's fine. Jumping onto the aces now. So Mini Hero is raised with about 25 big blinds. I think flatting here is fine, because I think Nikolai and M silence can make a move behind. I think if I 3-bet, didn't really give them any fold equity, and I think it's probably not very often at this stage of the tournament I'm going to be 3-bet folding against his stat. I think I can probably be flatting here a lot of hands with medium strength, although to be honest with you, if I had a hand like pocket 8s or pocket 9s, I would rather 3-bet to call, because they don't flop as well. Obviously aces flops pretty well, so I've decided to call here and see if I can extract the most value out of the hand. So flops come down 7-8 king. He's bet 2k. I guess he has a lot of kings in his range. Perhaps pocket pairs between eights and queen. Also, perhaps just a hand like ace 10, ace jack, ace 9, or a complete airball. I think the optimal thing to do here is just to call. If he has got a king, he's still going to go broke on the turn, as it's very rare that an ace is going to hit. I've got 2 of them. And if he has got an airball, it might give him another chance to bluff or even catch up. So I think calling here is optimal. However, I decided to shove. I think that might be a result of having a lot of tables on at the time and not making quite the correct decision. Although I don't think shoving here is bad. I think you can call a lot of hands. My shove here might look like an 8 or a 7 or a draw. But I think that the optimal play there is just to flat and let him continue betting for value or bluff. He did go ahead and fold. I took the pot down. Perhaps missed out a little bit of value there, but that's fine. Okay, the next hand here is pocket 8s. Havana's min-raise under the gun and obviously tried to make it look like he has got a stack behind him, but he's only got 126 chips. I've made it 2k and I don't plan on folding the hand to 20 isolation really. I think pocket 8s, perhaps with a smaller pocket pair it might be. I think pocket 8s is probably the bottom of my range here that I'm committing myself to Nikolai, Thaddeus and Guilherme stack. Perhaps even M silence, I'm not sure. In fact, it was Thaddeus that decided to isolate, and it's quite a strong line. However, my read on Thaddeus is that he is among the most aggressive lag players online, and to see a spot to isolate here, perhaps with something even like with a worse pocket pair or sort of even an ace 8. Something, I think he does have hands in his range here that dominate. So I did decide to make the call. I thought I can also be flipping a lot of the time. Looking back now, he did shove in. Well, it's only 20 big blinds, so I mean, I made the call and ran to pocket kings. A little bit unfortunate, I thought, from Thaddeus, because I thought his range is much wider than that. I maybe might have folded the hand against a lesser opponent, but anyway, it didn't work out that time. I go down to 17,000 chips, which is not ideal. Queen Jack now on the cutoff. We've changed. Oh no, we haven't changed here. We just had the 2 new players here. 8th Thanasius is raised. He's going to be raising a really wide range there. There's a chip leader at the table, open folded to him. So we've decided to call in position with Queen Jack. We don't really want to be 3-bet here because I think we're going to force out all the worst hands, and he's going to be 4-betting or folding here. So we decided to play in position and take a flop. It's gone 3 ways now, and it's come Queen high. 8th betting 1500. I think the best option here is just to call. As I said, I think if we raise here, I haven't really given him enough room. If I raise to sort of 3500, I don't think he's ever going to be 4-bet folding the flop. So I think the best option is just to call. We decided to raise, which surprised me a little bit. Perhaps I thought he was capable of calling with worse hands and stacking off with worse as well. I think Aces is definitely a player in the Thaddeus' category where he's very, very, very capable of doing some funky stuff. He's called and the turns are 4. So I think on the flop, what am I really representing by raising the flop? If I've got pocket 6s or pocket 7s, it's not a very dangerous flop. There's no real draws on. If I've got a queen, I'm probably going to be flatting a lot of it. So perhaps it was actually a good spot to raise a queen here, because you're not actually representing it a great deal. You're going to force your opponent into an error. And a player like Athanasius is on a very high thinking level. I think he can do so. The turns are 4. He's checked, and I've decided to check back. Perhaps like, okay now, I've raised the flop here with there, and now I'm giving up. In reality, if I'd raised the flop with there and he called, I might even be firing a second barrel, trying to convince him, which is probably what I should have done. The river was a 2, and he's checked it again to me, and I think I've decided to shove all in there A little bit over bet of the pot.